Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Tori. If you're new, I am so happy that you're here and very excited because we get to set up my 2023 reading journal today. I was so excited to set up this journal because I feel like with my last journal, I learned a lot about new spreads that I wanted to add, different ways to format spreads to make them a little bit more usable or more aesthetically pleasing and things like that. So I am really excited. If you're setting up your journals at this point in time, please let me know what are some of your favorite spreads. What are some of your favorite color palettes to use, because I always need new color palette inspo and stuff like that. And also, if you are in the midst of setting up your bullet journal for 2023, I do have a code with Archer and Olive. I love Archer and Olive bullet journals. They're all that I use. And they also sell stationery, paint pens, stamps, stickers, all that fun stuff. So if you want to save some money and order through them, my code is ToriPages10. You get 10% off your purchase, and I will also leave that code in the description box below. So the first pages that I was setting up was just my title page. So I just write my name, and I like to add in a started and finished date to my journals, just so that if I ever want to look back through them, I have those dates for reference of what year I used it for. And then I'm setting up my bookshelves spread of 2023. So I like to color code these by genre. So that's what I'm adding at the bottom, is just my color coding key for my genres. So I usually do contemporary fiction, romance, classics, horror/thriller. I do the same color, fantasy, and manga. And I tried to stick to a more neutral color palette. I really like using neutrals for a lot of these annual spreads. And then during my monthly spreads is when I use different color palettes and stuff like that. But I like to make each genre of book a pretty distinct color from the others. That way they really stand out. I feel like in 2022, when I did my color palette for my genres, some of them I just made too similar, and it was hard to distinguish which one was which genre. For a lot of these spreads, I have multiples of them because a theme that happened in my last two reading journals was I constantly ran out of room on these annual spreads. So last year I did 2 pages of my bookshelves. This year I did 3 whole pages of these bookshelves, so that hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't run out of room. I think I put just over 200 little drawn books on my bookshelves. I don't think that I'm going to read 200 books. I would be really impressed if I did. However, I wasn't expecting to read 150 books in 2022, but here we are. But I wanted to make sure I had absolutely enough room. So you'll notice for a lot of these spreads that we're setting up today, there's going to be multiples of them, and it's just so that I don't run out of room in this journal. This is just a really mini flip through, just showing you that I have those multiple pages of spreads, and I like to have them one after another. It really bothers me if I need to add a new, reading log or a new bookshelf page, and they're not bunched together with the other bookshelf pages and stuff like that. So I like to keep them all together in my journal. So now we're setting up my 5-star reads of 2023. So I like to draw in pencil those little squares where I'm going to paste in the book covers of my 5-star reads throughout the year. And the dimensions on these squares, they are 5 dots long by 7 dots high. I like to use Procreate to print out my book covers. So it's kind of a random size that I print out my book covers. I feel like you could use Canva and do it a bit more easily, but the size that I print out my book covers is, I think, 232 pixels by 328 pixels, something like that. And it fits this 5x7 size that I've drawn the squares in. The other little tidbit about this spread is I like to keep the squares where I draw, where I'm going to paste in my book covers in pencil. And then I actually erase them as I paste in my book covers because I feel like it looks very crowded and messy if I keep those little corner marks that I made. The next 2 pages I feel are a little bit self-explanatory. I feel like a lot of people do spreads like these in their reading journals. I really love doing my bookish goals spreads. So the first being those 2 pages completely filled out with numbered squares. As I read a book, I will color in what number book it was. And then I do like to have an actual list page of reading goals and then kind of like channel goals as well. So that's that second page with the numbered list. This next spread is my series tracker, which I started using in 2022 and I really loved it, but I revamped the format of it. So this time for my series tracker, I put the name of the series right at the top with the author, and then I list out all of the books that are in that series. And I'm very much a list person. I really like crossing things off of my list. So as I read each of these books in a series, I'll be able to cross it off the list. And I think it will be very, very satisfying. And one of my goals for 2023 is to stop being intimidated by book series. I really love reading book series, and I also feel like a lot of fantasy books, which is one of my favorite genres, are series. But I have commitment issues. Like, it really scares me if I know that a series is like 8 books long or 6 books long. I'm like, ooh, do I really want to start that? That's so many books. So I'm hoping that having this spread, having it be a new format that I really like to use, is just going to help me be excited about a lot of book series in the new year. And then this is a new spread to my journal this year. It is a books hauled spread. So I did do 2 pages of this one as well. The first one being the first half of the year and the second page being the second half of the year in terms of the months. And so as I buy books each month, hopefully I'm not buying too many books, but I thought this would be a fun way to keep track of that. This next spread is my books by type spread, so it's where I want to track how many physical books, audiobooks, and ebooks that I read each month, and then also throughout the year. I thought this would be really fun, and it's a spread that I tried to do last year, but I hated the format that I did it last year. It wasn't fun to use, it wasn't nice to look at, so I stopped using it, but I'm really hoping that this format will work for me a lot better. And then the page opposite the big chart is like a stats page. So at the end of the year, I'll be able to write my most read month, my least read month, my most preferred format of books, and I just thought it would be really fun. Also, if you would like to recreate the chart that I made, the sizing that I did was each little box is 5 dots long by 3 dots high, and this is really just to write numbers in there, so you don't need a lot of space. And then also keeping in mind, my journal is the A5 journal, so it is one of the smaller journals, so I do make charts a bit smaller and stuff like that. So if you are using a bigger journal, you're going to have a lot of extra room on your chart page. These next 2 pages I'm going to fill out at the absolute end of 2023. I kind of take inspiration for these pages from like the Goodreads final reading wrap up of the year. So I like to make a chart of how many books I gave 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, etc. And then I also track the total pages that I read in 2023, the total books that I read, my average page length, average rating, all of that stuff. So all of these stats I typically pull right from Goodreads. I'm pretty sure Storygraph would kind of give you similar stats as well, but I just love those reading wrap-ups, and I like to keep them in my journal as well, so that if I ever look back through my journals, I can really see my whole reading year at a glance. In a lot of these annual spreads, I'm using a lot of scrapbook paper, a lot of nature stickers, also the stickers from, I think it's called Jola Co. I did a whole bullet journal supply haul video, which I will link in the description box below if you're interested. I usually do one big bulk purchase of all of my bullet journal supplies that I would like to use for the upcoming year. So that is in the description if you want to know where I got a bunch of these supplies. Also for these annual spreads, I decided to do my kind of neutral color palette with a bunch of Crayola markers. So don't get me wrong, I love my Tombos. I do have a bunch of Tombos as well, but if you're looking to add some markers and some colors to your collection, I'm using the Colors of the World Crayola pack. And these colors are so beautiful. They're supposed to be for drawing skin tones, but they're just so gorgeous. They're obviously way less expensive than Tombos, so there's your hot bullet journal tip of the day. Don't sleep on Crayola markers. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of my favorite spreads in my bullet journal so far of the year, and that is my most anticipated releases spread. So I just did little boxes, one for each month of the year, and then in these boxes I'm going to write my most anticipated book releases. So I have them mostly filled out for January and February. I think I only have one book in there for March. I did make a video on my most anticipated book releases of the first 3 months of the year, so I will link that video in the description box below if you're curious. But so many of these books I'm so excited for, and I always just think it's really fun to have something to look forward to. I always get really excited for book releases because I feel like it just really gets me excited about reading, you know, knowing that some of my favorite authors are releasing new books. Stephanie Garber has a new book that's coming out in September. It's the third book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series that I cannot contain my excitement for. I cannot wait for it to be released. So yeah, that is what this spread is. If you've watched my other bullet journal videos, you know that I like to section out my bullet journal. So all of the spreads that you just saw were my annual spreads at the front of my bullet journal. Then I leave a bunch of pages in the middle for my monthly spreads. And then I also have some sections in the back. So this is one of the sections that is in the back. This is my Readathons section. And I did this same format last year. So if you want to watch my 2022 bullet journal flip through, I will leave that video also linked in the description box below. But last year I tried this tab method and I had the tabs sticking out last time, but they got really beat up and bent and just didn't look good. So I tried to do some, I don't know what you call them, like internal tabs, and then protect them with the washi tape, which is from Paper Geek Co. And this is the final flip through, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you made it this far, please leave a book stack emoji in the comments down below. It would mean so stinking much to me. If you'd like to subscribe to see more, I post videos every Sunday and Thursday. I always show you my monthly bullet journal spreads. We do a mid-year flip through. I always do an end of the year flip through, and then I read a bunch of books. So I love to talk about books with y'all as well. I have a book club in the description box below if you're interested. It's called the Queens Bookclub, and we vote on our book pick every single month. I also have my Instagram and my Goodreads linked down below as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next one.